Yeah, pause YouTube, 6-Foot Hacks here. Have for you guys today the team building video for week 5 of Pokemon Full Glory Season 2. Of course, if you guys do enjoy the video, make sure to hammer that like button down below. Also, let me know if you guys kind of like the face cam. I thought face cam would be kind of nice to add to these team building videos, just to kind of make it more interactive with you guys. So if y'all did not see last week's battle, because it was an hour-long battle, I'm going to spoil it for y'all, but we unfortunately took our first loss in this season. Now, I'm not gonna lie, part of me is still a little bit upset and disappointed that we lost, because I really felt that that was a battle that we could have won, but I felt that I played a little bit too passively, and there were certain scenarios where I could have been more aggressive, and that's where I think I definitely went wrong in that matchup. But that was last week in week 4. This is currently in week 5, and if we get to face John in the playoffs, best believe I will be looking for some vengeance and to pull out a W this time. But right now, this week, we are facing CrimsonCBad, aka Chase, aka the coach of the Detroit Steel Wings. His channel link and stuff are going to be down below. Also, the day that this is going up, I actually had my P4G interview, my P4G coach interview go up on the P4G channel. So if you guys want to go check that out, then check out the P4G YouTube, so you guys can kind of like get to know a little bit more about me, I guess. But I mean, if you just leave questions, I'll probably answer them anyway. So yeah, if you guys want to check that out, I think it was like maybe 15 minutes or so you guys can check that out. Show off your support on there, rep for the Durham Druddigons. And yeah, so let's take a look at our team matchup this week. So as you guys can see below me, I have literally no switch-ins to Mamoswine. Why? Because Mamoswine is absolutely terrifying. Holy crap, I hate Mamoswine. I hate facing Mamoswine. I've only used Mamoswine I think once or twice before in Draft League, and I love it, man. Using Mamoswine is fucking awesome because it's so hard to switch into its dual stabs. So facing it, dude, is absolutely terrifying. So obviously Mamoswine is a humongous problem going into this week's battle. Actually, if you look at the order of the Pokemon from left to right, that is the basic order I think is going to bring. So the first 6 Pokemon you see on the Detroit Steel Wings top 6 Pokemon, those are the main 6 I expect them to bring, and then down below should be in the order of what else I expect them to bring. For example, the last Pokemon and the least Pokemon I expect them to bring is Rotom, because Rotom just really has a bad matchup in this game. Then I don't expect them to bring Sock. I also don't expect them to want to bring Alakazam, because while Sock I guess could kind of maybe pressure us as a fighting type, it gives me so many free switch-ins to a lot of my Pokemon, so I really don't think that he's going to want to bring that. And then the other 2 mons I may expect him to bring is his little Rain Core, right? Because that's 6, that's 8. Yeah, plus 3. Yeah, I'm not good with math, but I'm pretty sure I listed all 8 of his Pokemon. But the Rain Core, I kind of half expect him to bring. If he wants to bring the Rain Core, I'm not really sure what he could leave. I mean, I would much rather see a Mega Swampert than, I guess, like a Roserade or a Mamoswine or something along those lines. I guess even more than Mence, but I feel like Mence and Mamoswine definitely have a really good matchup in this game. Same thing for Roserade. Like, the Rain Core isn't necessarily that big of an issue, but if he brings it, it could be really annoying. But for the most part, the top 6 is what I mainly expect them to bring. So Mamoswine, Sneasel, Salamence, Scizor, Roserade, and Donphan. If not those 6, then he may take 2 out for his Rain Core. So yeah, then the final 3 being Sock, Alakazam, and Rotom, I really feel like they just have bad matchup in this game, so I don't really expect them to bring those. Alright, small interruption, but let's go ahead and jump into this week's squad. So the first Pokemon that we have is, of course, Corbin the Cobalion, and I know you guys see the air balloon there. This is kind of like the only, I guess, safe switch into Mamoswine if he wants to bring Mamoswine. If I'm able to switch it in on an Earthquake, then I can hopefully set up a substitute as he is forced to switch out, or if he tries to break my sub, then the following turn I can go for close combat and either knock out Mamoswine or get off chip damage on whatever comes in. So if I'm able to get Corbin behind a substitute in this matchup, I really feel like it's going to put in a lot of work. The combination of close combat plus Stone Edge should be able to 2 or 3 hit KO anything that he wants to bring. If I'm able to get behind a substitute and get up a Swords Dance, Cobalion's definitely going to be putting in a lot of work. We are running enough speed to outspeed plus speed natured max speed Salamence by 1 point, unless it is scarfed or it gets up a Dragon Dance. And Stone Edge is just really here because it's probably the best coverage move that we had. I think at one point I actually had Hidden Power Ice over Sword Zance, and then I also had Volt Switch over Sword Zance. A Volt Switch mainly to be able to hit Pelipper for a 4-time super effective hit, and then HP Ice to be able to hit Salamence for a 4-time super effective hit. Actually, Cobalion is the main reason why I want to say he's going to bring physically defensive Donphan. Like, I feel Special Donphan doesn't really have a good matchup in this game because of Cobalion. And actually, like, best case scenario going into this battle is that he Earthquakes with Mamoswine as I switch in Cobalion. I substitute as he then tries to switch out into his Donphan, or he may try to switch into something else, and then from there I can either close combat it, Stone Edge it, or potentially get up a Sword Zance, so that's going to be really, really awesome. So that's kind of the idea behind this set, but Cobalion can definitely pressure his team, get off a good amount of damage on whatever he decides to switch in against this, so definitely feel like Cobalion is going to be able to put in some work. Moving on down the line, we have Vicente the Victini and our second substitute Pokemon, because if you look at his team, there's actually quite a bit of things that Vicente can get up a free substitute on. For example, we can sub on the Roserade, we can sub up on a potential locked in Scizor, or if we're able to just force him out if he's not locked in, we can substitute on Mamoswine Switch Out. We can potentially substitute on a non-Scarf Pelipper, which is going to be really, really awesome if he's fearing something like Thunder. And originally, this was actually going to be Gracium Z as opposed to Electrium Z, but the more I thought about it, the more I was a little bit concerned about Salamence, because even if I'm able to Thunder Salamence, Thunder only does about 30 to 40-ish% to Salamence, as where Z Thunder turning into Gigavolt Havoc does about 65 to 70-ish% I want to say. So that's obviously a whole lot more damage that I can do to Salamence than just Thunder. And with Thunder, I can not Thunder, but with Gigavolt Havoc, I can prevent him from getting up more than one Dragon Dance. So that's kind of the idea behind this set. Also, Energy Ball should still be able to do a lot of damage to the Donphan, which again, I really expect them to bring physically defensive Donphan as opposed to specially defensive, just to be able to check my Cobalion. But for the most part, if I'm able to either get Victini or Cobalion or both behind a substitute, I'm very positive that they're at least each going to pick up 1 or 2 KOs, and then I can play the game from there. So that's kind of the general idea behind the double substitute core, that these two Pokemon can basically pressure a lot of Crimson's team, and then we can pick up KOs from there. Blue Flare obviously for stab, Thunder mainly for the Salamence because of Gigavolt Havoc. We can also straight Oko Pelipper. Then Energy Ball is just really for the Donphan and for the Swampert. Blue Flare basically hits everything else, if I'm not mistaken. Like, off the top of my head, I'm pretty sure we hit everything, right? Yeah, you guys can look down below and like realize these 3 moves basically hit everything for neutral or super effective damage, which is really, really awesome. So moving on. Actually, yeah, and then we have Timid Max Speed to potentially speed tie with Salamence if it's running Jolly Max Speed, or Timid Max Speed if he wants to bring like a Draco Meteor Salamence. Actually, if he brings Draco Meteor Salamence, that's probably going to be better for me, because that just gives me free switch-ins to something to potentially substitute or set up, and then we go from there. So moving on to the third member of our squad, we have Tranquilo, aka Crocodile. Now, I want to address something. In my transaction video, I saw some people commenting saying that Garchomp and Crocodile basically do the same thing, and while that is kind of true, this is actually why I'm really, really happy to have both Crocodile and Garchomp, because in this matchup, Garchomp really does not have a good enough use to be brought, basically. Like, Garchomp has a really, really bad matchup in this game, but Crocodile actually has a pretty solid matchup, to be 100% honest with you guys. Well, yes, I guess it would be nice to have Greninja, because if I did have Greninja, I would have brought Scarf Greninja, but the issue with that is that then I probably wouldn't have Stealth Rocks on this team, and I absolutely always want to have Stealth Rocks on a team, because Stealth Rocks are very, very important. Stealth Rocks are easily the most important move in the game. They can make a difference between 2 KOs or 3 KOs, and basically ensure that sometimes you even just win because of them. So that's why I'm actually rocking Stealth Rocks on this Choice Bandit set. This was originally going to be like a more defensive set, just to be able to kind of check things a little bit easier, but if you look at Crimson's draft, he has no Fairy type, I'm pretty sure, and his only Dark Resist is Sock, which I don't give a damn if it brings Sock, because I'm just gonna get a free substitute or I'm gonna revenge kill something. And if he does bring Sock, then it's still gonna be taking a pretty solid amount of damage from an Aqua Tail or a knockoff. So the idea behind the set is to lead off with it if he doesn't have the Pelipper, or even if he has Pelipper, he may not lead with that, and then we can just kind of go from there. But the general idea is 8 out of 10 times I'm gonna be leading off with Crocodile, and then I just click Adamant Choice Banded knockoff turn 1, and something is gonna get absolutely mollywopped. So that's kind of the idea behind this set, not to mention that we are running enough speed to outspeed Adamant Mamoswine by 1 point. Intimidate is also really good to get a minus attack on the Sneasel, the Salamence, the Donphan, and even the Mamoswine as well, so we can take Ice Shards a little bit better, and then we can go from there. Also on the Scizor, Choice Banded Adamant Fire Fang, straight Oko Scizor, if I'm not mistaken, unless he's running the Aqua Berry or he is in Rain. And I think if he is in Rain, Aqua Tail actually does more damage than a Fire Fang would be doing in Rain, so we can Aqua Tail the Scizor in the Rain and just smack it around and then go from there. So the idea behind the set is to just basically apply a lot of pressure to whatever he initially wants to switch into this, or if I can get a free switch on it against like the Roserade or a non-Scarf Pelipper or the Mamoswine itself, then I can just click Knockoff or Aqua Tail or Fire Fang with the proper predictions. This thing can absolutely just wreck through any 6 Pokemon that he does want to bring. Also, this is kind of like a backup knockoff switch in, because let's say he brings in Donphan and I've lost the air balloon on my Cobalion, I can just safely switch into Crocodile. As he goes for the knockoff, he gets rid of my Choice Band, and then I got free liberty to switch up moves and even be able to get on my Stealth Rocks while still being able to apply pressure to the Donphan. Aqua Tail is a straight to a KO regardless of whether or not it is in the Rain, so that's another really huge plus about having Aqua Tail on the set. It would kind of suck to be locked into Fire Fang or Aqua Tail and giving Salamence a free switch in, but if I run into that scenario, I kind of think I know how be able to play around it, so we'll go from there. But for the most part, Crocodile is definitely going to be putting in a lot of work. I feel like this thing can apply just so much pressure because of Adamant Stab, Choice Banded knockoff. Guys, this is absolutely insane. So again, this is why I like to have Crocodile and Garchomp. If I didn't have Crocodile, I would either have to bring Garchomp with Stealth Rocks and a Yache Berry and lose offensive pressure, or I would have to bring Scarf, Greninja, and then remove a move on Cobalion for rocks, or just not have rocks in general. And with this set, it combines both of those two into one. It's an offensive threat, a kind of pseudo defensive threat, while still being able to get up Stealth Rock. So really hoping that Crocodile puts in a lot of work, and in theory it should be able to. So moving on down the line, because we do have Choice Banded Adamant Stab knockoff on Crocodile, I really didn't feel the need to have knockoff on Tangrowth, because obviously I want Crocodile to just do as much damage as possible. And the cool thing about this Tangrowth set is that with the Yache Berry, I can chew one Icicle Crash from Adamant Choice Banded Mamoswine, and even from potential Life Orb Sneasel. So in a sense, actually even without the Yache Berry, I can still comfortably take a Icicle Crash from Life Orb Sneasel. But for the most part, Tangrowth is kind of like my backup answer to Mamoswine. I really think he's gonna want to bring like an Adamant Max Attack Life Orb set, although I have seen him run Banded before, and I have seen him run a Choice Scarf set before. So if it's Choice Scarf, honestly, that's probably gonna make things a whole lot easier, because it's not gonna be hitting anywhere near as hard as it would be if it was Adamant Life Orb or Choice Banded. And the cool thing about Yache Berry is that with Energy Ball, after one turn of Life Orb or Stealth Rocks, I 100% knock out the Mamoswine with Energy Ball, which is why I have Energy Ball as opposed to Giga Drain, just for that extra little bit of damage to ensure the Okos on the Mamoswine. And I can also obviously Oko Swampert. Max Attack Adamant Swampert's Ice Punch is about a 3-hit KO, so I'm honestly not even concerned about Swampert if he does want to try and Ice Punch my Tangrowth. Brick Break is a straight Oko on Sneasel, and the fact that I have Brick Break and not Focus Blast makes me really happy, because I do not 100% do not want to have to rely on hitting a Focus Blast. And I guess I could have maybe tried to bring HP Fighting like that also. I guess in theory it might have not been too bad, but for the most part, Brick Break is also just really nice if he wants to bring like dual screens. Actually, I don't think he has anything that learns dual screens. I think Rotom does, and I think Alakazam does. Do they? I don't know. If they do, then hey, we're breaking screens, boys. But the reason why I have dual powder is because if he doesn't want to bring Roserade, or if I'm able to get rid of the Roserade, I'm basically able to just put something to sleep if I don't miss, and then that nullifies whatever Pokemon is put to sleep. Stun Spore is also really nice to be able to paralyze something like the Salamence or a Pelipper, I guess, on the switch-in if something is already asleep. I honestly expect them to want to bring a Flynium Z or a Yachi Berry variant of Salamence. Actually, quick shouts out to the homies Wamar and Shuckle King 87, and Quinn and Harris is awesome for helping me build, or just like reviewing stuff for me. But yeah, for the most part, dual status I really feel like is going to be good in this matchup once I'm able to get rid of the Roserade, because he's not going to have anything to safely switch into a Stun Spore or a Sleep Powder, and then I can take advantage of those potential turns that he gets fully paralyzed. I'm also going to be able to outspeed things if they're paralyzed, and then if something is asleep, like I mentioned, it's going to be pretty much nullified. Now, it does suck that this set does literally nothing to Roserade, but if he does want to bring Roserade, I should be able to play around it accordingly, so I'm not entirely too worried about it. If he does for some reason have Lumberry Salamence, that could be a little bit scary, but if he's Lumberry Salamence and he's Dragon Dance, then I don't think a +1 he knocks me out with any one hit. So long as I don't miss a Sleep Powder or a Stun Spore, we can just go from there, and then be able to hopefully regenerate back HP onto our Tangrowth. So yeah, Tangrowth is basically here like a secondary backup check to Mamoswine and Sneasel and the Salamence in a sense. Obviously, Scizor can mollywop me with a U-turn, especially if he's Choice Banded Adamant Scizor. I've seen him run Choice Banded Scizor quite a bit of times in his team builders, so if he does want to bring that, we do live one at full HP, and then whatever he switches in is going to get Stun Spore or Sleep Powder. And I think at one point I even had Leech Seed just to be able to gain back a little bit of recovery, but I really feel like Stun Spore is going to be more useful than Leech Seed in this game. So moving on down the line, we have making her debut, we got Scarlet the Skuntank. Now, I'm not going to lie, funny enough, Shuckle King actually told me that he didn't expect Chase to expect Skuntank coming, because if you look at Chase's team, you would think that Skuntank doesn't really have that good of a matchup. Like, the combination of Swampert, Mamoswine, Donphan, and Sock like really pressure Skuntank. But the cool thing about the Skuntank set is that it's EV to outspeed Adamant Mamoswine, which again, really don't think he's going to bring Jolly Mamoswine. If he brings Jolly Mamoswine, he's losing a lot of power, and if he brings Jolly, I would much rather face a Jolly Mamoswine than an Adamant Mamoswine, because again, that's going to be way more manageable, to be honest with you guys. But the cool thing about Skuntank is that while rocking an Assault Vest, this gives me a kind of pseudo pivot into Roserade and also the Pelipper if he wants to bring those two, and this basically shuts down Alakazam, because I can just Pursuit Trap him, break your potential Focus Sash, or if he's not Focus Sash for whatever odd reason, then I think it actually gets straight O-Code after Pursuit, so that's going to be really awesome. Fire Blast, of course, is just to smack around the Scizor. I think we do like 50 to 60% depending on his EV spread. If he's got the Aqua Berry, obviously it does less than that, but actually, well, yeah, I guess I could see him bringing Aqua Berry Scizor. He's run that before too, but if it's Aqua Berry, then that means it's probably not going to be as an offensive set, more of like a setup set, so then we can kind of play around that. Crunch and Foul Play are actually really nice in this matchup. I would have really liked to have fit Sucker Punch on this set, but just I felt like Skuntank just really had 4 move slot syndrome. Foul Play is literally only for the Mamoswine and the Salamence. In theory, let's say he wants to bring in Salamence against my Skuntank after Stealth Rocks. He's going to try and Dragon Dance, maybe playing around Sucker Punch or thinking that I can't do much damage to him. After Rocks and +1 attack, Foul Play is a straight OHKO, so that's a huge plus about Foul Play. Also, Foul Play does a solid like 60 to 70-ish% to Mamoswine if he's Adamant Life Orb or just Adamant in general. So if he thinks that I can't knock him out with a Crunch or a Sucker Punch, I can catch him off guard and mollywop him with the Foul Play. So really hoping that I can use Foul Play in this matchup. So that's a basic idea behind the set. Also, if he wants to bring Sock, I guess this is kind of like a Sock switch-in, so I can get Aftermath damage off on it and then go from there. But again, I really don't think he's going to bring Sock. So moving on to the final team member of the Durham Druddigons for this week's squad, we got Remy the Raichu filling in for Rennie the Raichu, because Event Surf Raichu cannot be female. I found that out through PKX, so yeah, basically had to make this male, and because I originally used to name my male Raichu's Remy, I was like, whatever, man, it's fine. So I don't expect him to bring the Rotom, so I really don't care about not having Lightning Rod. Actually, having Static is pretty cool because we can potentially paralyze the Sock on a knockoff for close combat, or the Salamence on an Outrage if we're not able to outspeed it, or the Mamoswine on a knockoff, or the Sneasel on a knockoff, or the Scizor on a Bullet Punch. So that's going to be really, really nice. Shouts out to Shuckle King 87 for suggesting me this set, and actually another shout out to Wamar for suggesting me running Pursuit on Skuntank, because I originally didn't have Pursuit on the Skuntank, but he suggested it, and I'm hoping that it will come in handy. But for the most part, this set pretty much covers just about anything really that he kind of wants to bring. It does suck that my form of stab is going to be Volt Switch, but at the same time, if I'm able to get rid of one of or all of his ground types that he's gonna bring, then I just basically Volt Switch for free. Surf in the Rain also does a lot of damage to his team if I get Rocks up and I get rid of the Roserade, so that's going to be a huge plus. Grass Knot obviously smacks around the Donphan. If it's Assault Vested, that could be a little bit annoying, but again, I don't expect him to bring AV Donphan. I really feel like physically defensive is going to be better, just to be able to check my Krookodile and my Cobalion and potential physically offensive Victini. But Grass Knot can definitely smack those around. HP Ice is literally only for the Salamence. This is EV to outspeed a Salamence that's running max speed plus speed nature at +1, and after Stealth Rocks, HP Ice with 212 special attack EVs is a straight OHKO. And from the way I made this team, I should be able to get off a little bit of chip damage on the Salamence and put it in range of where I can then just revenge kill it with Raichu at +1 speed. So that's going to be really nice. And the defensive E's allow me to live 1 max attack Adamant Life Orb Ice Shard after 2 Stealth Rock switch-ins, so that could very well come into play if I have to try and use Raichu to revenge kill the Mamoswine. And then Sneasel does significantly less damage than Mamoswine, so I can easily chew Ice Shards from the Sneasel. So yeah, guys, that is going to be this week's squad. Let me know what you think about this matchup. Let me know what you think about our squad, and the match will be going up tomorrow on Saturday, so make sure to go check that out. With that being said, guys, I'll see y'all tomorrow. Later, everybody.
Cause my brain and heart are both tied in a knot, and this hinders me from crying a lot. This causing me to show no emotion. But when I said I cared, I wasn't joking. But I guess it's too late for me to become broken. For now, I'm living with no more pain, tears, or hoping. I'm just coasting. Yeah, I said I'm coasting. No more pain, tears, and hoping. For real.